Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
Me, Rob. Let's go talk about some Thursday night football.
Thursday night!
Night.
It sounds so weird still. No matter how many years they do Thursday night football, it still just sounds so weird to me.
It's been like a decade now. My God.
I know, it just still does. I don't know. It's just like, and granted, we've talked about this before in the show. I was never very good at football. Like, I don't try to pretend. I'm not that guy who's like, oh, but I was in high school, I did this and I did that and polk high and 3 touchdowns in 1 quarter. You know, like, I'm not Al Bundy.
Over here.
Yeah, like, I was not a good player. Like, I made the joke before that I started a left bench, but I'm not even kidding. Like, I was a bench in JV even. I knew the game. I understood the game very well. The physical abilities just aren't there. Like, I'll call it what it is. The tall, goofy guy is not the guy usually that's the most coordinated in the world and good at sports. No matter how much I love watching it and how much I enjoy breaking it down. So,
Jimmy Graham was a pretty tall, goofy-looking guy.
Yes, and he wasn't good until he grew into his body. That's why he played basketball.
Touche.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough.
And what's next? Antonio Gates? But
Cam.
To turn around from Sunday and have to go just 4 days and play again, you know, let's just put it this way. Why don't you try running into a 350-pound brick wall multiple times, take a break, do it again, take a break, do it again, take a break, do it again, then take 4 days off later and repeat the process all over again. Like, it's rough on these guys there. But here we are. We got it. It is what it is. The owners want it. The owners want the money.
That's it.
It's all about the money, guys. Exactly.
Listen, if Goodell had his if he had his wish list, if you will, there'd be football on every night of the week. Which doesn't sound like a terrible idea.
I would not be as opposed to that because you could at least spread out the days off a little better at that point. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, you're playing on Thursday, so the week before you played on Wednesday. Like, you could do things like that at that point and you know, change it. You'd probably just skip Saturday to not avoid the college football issue. But, you know,
then you can incorporate your buys into there. So it's even like a little bit of longer time to be off. You do it right.
Alrighty. So before we get into the actual game itself, we got to go into the, of course, as usual, the injury report. Oh yes, the injury report. There's the ambulance going by, and no, it's not for Nick Chubb. Was that too soon?
Oh, woof.
We're gonna get canceled. We're gonna get canceled again.
Yeah. Well, at least at the end of the day, we didn't have a Nick Chubb incident on our team.
Yeah, I mean, whoa.
Not that I wish that on anyone. All
jokes aside, speedy recovery for that man. That's crazy. That reminded me when I saw that of Joe Theismann when LT ended his career. That's rough. And when you see these guys and these players fighting for every single dollar they can possibly get, especially the running back position, next time before you complain about it, I want you to think of that play. This is why they're fighting for every dollar they can while they can get it. Luckily, Nick Chubb had a second contract. He's got some money. Because I'll be shocked if he ever plays football again. I really will.
Yeah, that third contract's not sounding so good.
Yeah. I even saw some rumors he might even lose his leg. That's how bad the injury was. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not reporting that. I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV. But I'm seeing some people that are actual doctors saying, hey, based on what happened, we think this happened. And if this happened, he may lose his leg.
Yeah, because I know it was 3 major ligaments in there that ripped, which I'm not a major doctor, but there's pretty much 3 major ligaments that run through your knee.
He's a minor doctor.
Yeah.
Is that a pediatrician?
Could be. Unless I mean it's a doctor for jockeys.
Doctor. All right.
Yes.
Should have my Doctor Who shirt today. So let's get into the injuries here. So on the Giants here, first off, before I get into that, I should specify something. The Giants and the Niners both did walkthroughs, and that's what they're doing all week long. There is no actual, practice. That's their way of trying to combat the fact that there's two, games within 4 days of each other there. So basically what they do is they report the injuries as if there was an actual practice. So basically, if they said did not practice, they mean, hey, if we actually had a legit practice, this person wouldn't be practicing.
Yeah, makes sense.
So on the did not practice side for the Giants, Saquon Barkley with his ankle injury. Daboll actually is refusing to even rule him out for the game, which I think has to be smoke and mirrors and BS just to keep the Niners on their toes. I can't imagine he's going to get an injury that they're saying 3 weeks.
And 5 days later.
4 days. This just doesn't seem right. Like, it's got to be smoke and mirrors, guys. I don't anticipate on Barkley, coming out at all. I'd be shocked if he does. I'd be actually a little bit pissed off if he came back.
I was about to say, do you really want him to go back after that?
Yeah. You want to risk him getting actually hurt like that really bad, where he's out for the whole season? Don't do that.
Ben Bredeson in this game.
Exactly. Ben Bredeson also was on the did not practice report for their he's in concussion protocol. Again, because of the 4 days, I don't anticipate seeing Ben Bredeson in this game. So we'll go over the offensive line a little bit, but it's going to be an interesting one. Luckily, we're not playing a tough defense, right? Limited in participation, Micah McFadden with his neck injury, Azeez Ojulari with his hamstring, Wan'Dale Robinson still coming back from last year's knee injury, and Andrew Thomas with his hamstring. 49ers, as far as their did not practice, Brandon Ayuk, which is a big name there, guys. That's one of the big three. We'll talk about the big three in a little bit here. Shoulder injury. For those of you who watched the game last week, or like me, watched it afterwards to prep for this game coming up, they were talking a lot in that game, and you saw every time that he caught the ball, especially against his chest and against his body, he was slow to come back up. And they were talking about how they were working on his neck the entire time. Well, I'm got to think that when they said the neck, it's probably the shoulder neck area here, like the very back. He's probably got something either pulled or yanked to that point that it's just kind of sore, like a muscle or something. Just, again, based on what they're telling us. They're not telling us much there, but it's enough to kind of think that's probably what's going on. But think about it. What do you do when you're a receiver? You go put your hands up. What happens if you have an issue with a muscle thing by the shoulder neck area like that?
You start straining it.
You're moving that muscle every time you put your damn hands up. You clench a ball.
Every time you run.
Do that real quick when you do that, and you'll feel your neck and your shoulder area tense up because that's part of the muscles you're using to do that. So that's a hard thing to play through. So as much as I, don't want him to succeed, obviously Thursday, kudos to him if he's able to play with that kind of injury, because that's rough. That's rough. Yeah. You can see him warring through it basically against the Rams, where most players, honestly, I think would have sat out the rest of the game after the first time he hurt himself doing it. So that's, like I said, got to give a little kudos when you see that kind of thing there. Limited participation is Ambry Thomas. He's one of their backup corners. He's got a knee injury. That's an area that they're a little thinner at than usual in past years. We'll get into that in a little bit as well. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on as well, because we all talked about all offseason. The Giants don't have strong receivers. They have strong depth at receiver.
Yes.
So when you lose depth at corner, that causes an issue. So, all right. So before we also get into that, I do want to give a little bit of breakdown on the Niners. I feel like a lot of people have a good sense of who the Niners have, because let's be honest, they've been one of the best teams in the NFL the last few years. They're in the playoffs every year. They're on a lot of primetime games. They got a lot of household names, obviously, as well. Like Bosa, Purdy, all those kind of guys there, CMC. There was a lot of changeover. There was. So, first off, the 49ers lost to their defense coordinator. He went to go on and become the head coach there for the Houston Texans. Probably a decision he's wishing he didn't do, but he did. They brought Steve Wilks, who remember was the interim coach for the Panthers, on, former defensive coordinator. for a few different teams, former head coach for the Cardinals. Probably will catapult to a head coach after this job as well. It typically is what happens now. Both the two people prior to him are now head coaches in the league. But they lost a lot of players besides just Garoppolo, which is the one you always hear about. So they lost Mike McClinchy, who was their right tackle, to the Broncos. They lost Emmanuel Mosley, one of their starting corners, to the Lions. They lost Jimmy Ward, who was a star safety for them, to the Texans. They lost two of their edge players as well. This is the defense that lost some players, and obviously losing your starting right tackle, so that hurts as well. They gained John Feliciano. Oh, yes, John Feliciano. We all know Johnny Boy. Yeah, cost us that damn game, schmuck. They also, the big one they gained is Javon Hargrave from the Eagles. Again, a name we're all familiar with, former Steeler, former Eagle, finally left the state of Pennsylvania, went to the West Coast there. But there's some changeover. This is not the same 49er team it's been the last couple of years. And the defense is something we're going to have to kind of keep an eye on this year to see if we still put it in that same category. Because they did put up a lot of the Rams did put up a lot of points against them last week.
Yeah, I mean, we also shouldn't be looking at the Rams of last year, more like the Rams of 2.5 years ago. They also lost a lot of players. Yeah, they're not going to have 4 wins this year. They're going to be probably an 8-9 win team this year, and it is divisional. Right. So like these guys will play each other's tough. Week 1. If you looked at what the Niners did against Pittsburgh, like they were all over it. Destroyed. Yeah. I don't know why people thought this was going to be a close game. It started getting a little close once they stopped playing.
Yeah. Destroy them. But I think it's interesting that you mentioned the Rams. You think you're going to win about 9 games this year, probably, because if you had to put – but I'm saying if you had to put a number on the Giants, a lot of people would put that same kind of number.
Yeah.
So it's a fair comparison when you say, okay, the Rams were toe-to-toe with these guys. The Giants, based on projections of the year, are similar to the Rams, what you're saying. Therefore, it's fair to say they could also go toe-to-toe with them.
It is fair to say, but, I mean, the Rams
it's like, how do I backtrack?
But the Rams are playing different football compared to the Giants so far this year. And also, Giants are going to go in there with a couple key injuries that might be very negate. Like, if we played the Niners week 17 compared to now, it could be a different tune we're seeing.
Oh, yeah.
But we got them on a short week.
So let's get into what happens when we look at when we're on offense here. It's time to talk about some offense. Oh, yes. So the first key that I have here is we got to keep the rhythm going. Because rhythm is a dancer.
Rhythm of the night.
This is the rhythm of the Thursday night.
Oh,
yeah. For those wondering, yes, we're also, along with being not so good at football, not much of the choir members either.
No.
I'm definitely not a soprano. I think that's pretty safe to say. But, we talked about a lot with the game against the Cardinals. The Giants went into this game very low on themselves, very disheartened still from that Cowboy matchup. That was quite obvious, I think, to anybody who understands not even just football, but just psychology and mental, attitudes. You could tell they were still defeated from that prior game. Well, now they're coming off of a high just 4 days earlier, to this game, where they scored 31 points in one half and just totally dismantled the Cardinals in that second half. So does that momentum continue? And I think that's a key thing for us to have some success in that very first drive, because that's going to solidify on the offense. Like, hey, we got this. Because they had 5 drives that second half, 4 touchdowns, 1 field goal. It's just about as good as it gets. Just 4 points off.
Yeah, well, man.
So
unless you go a couple 2-point conversions on there too, but
stop with the 2-pointers.
No, and listen, if the Giants come out, they keep the momentum going, there's a lot better of an opportunity. If they're going to play like they played against the Cardinals last week, we're going to be dead in the water. Like, you can play as strong as you want, but when you're playing a tough defense like that, you need an early start to get into that opposing defense's head. But if we're going to sit there and let them blow us out, it's going to be way harder to come back from there.
Yeah, we're not coming back from 21 points down against the Niners. It's not going to happen, guys. Not going to happen.
Especially if we don't have DJ. So it's like there's different scenarios and setups that we're going to have to do. But, I mean, we'll also talk about that as well.
So let's get into the elephant in the room, because we kind of mentioned it with the injury report. And it's the offensive line, which is funny because we're talking about the fat boys and we're talking about elephants in the room.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Fat
shaming those guys.
Fat shaming. Oh, yes. I'm body shaming. We're really getting canceled now. But you know, Andrew Thomas, we still don't know what's going to go on with him with his hamstring injury. I thought because of the fact that he traveled with the team, you saw him doing a little bit of workout prior to the game, that he was somewhat close to coming back, and they were like, you know what, let's not chance it against the Cardinals. We need him for Thursday. But the more and more I'm hearing stuff, like I was listening to the Blue Rush, and Paul Schwartz was on there talking about how he wasn't even close to ready. So if that's the case, that makes me think we're not going to see him Thursday. I am really hoping that's wrong, because we need Andrew Thomas. We need Andrew Thomas. It's almost like I'd rather him be like the shadow corner, but at the offensive line, like wherever Joey Bosa is, you go,
Follow
you go,
him.
yeah, you go and cover him. That's what's going to happen. I mean, not Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, wrong Bosa. So many Bosas. But, follow Nick Bosa around basically, because he's the only one I would trust to stop Nick Bosa from doing basically whatever he wants to do. Hate to say it that way and be negative about it, but it's.
I mean, you're talking about one of the best guys in the league, so.
It's the reason he just became the highest paid defensive player in the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
He's good. He's just a little.
He's just a little bit more than a good.
Just a little bit good. Yeah. I mean, he has 0 sacks so far this year, which at least maybe he's, playing a little off right now.
With the Giants.
But 18 and a half last year, 15 and a half the year before. So he's coming off 2 years where he basically averaged 1 sack per game. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. Well, no, just about. It's exactly. Because that comes out to 17 each season.
Math
is your friend.
Well, hey, don't forget the playoffs.
Playoffs! I don't have the playoff stats in front of me. But now we also have Ben Bredesen, who was probably our second or third best offensive lineman. Going to be probably out because of the concussion protocol. Again, I'll never advocate for a player coming off concussion to come back too early. These guys have a life outside of football and after football is over. So, by all means, players themselves.
Protect that noggin. Protect that egg. Don't scramble it.
Exactly. So we're going to go ahead and have basically possibly the lineup that we had in the second half against the Cardinals, which sounds great if you in the beginning, because like, we scored 31 points. That's a great thing. But there's just a slight difference between the Niners and the Cardinals.
When you talk about the top of the pack of defensive teams,
the leader of the
Cardinals
pack
are way at the bottom.
Grease lightning.
Go grease lightning.
Grease lightning, go grease lightning. Oh, it's not a goofball episode without little show tunes. I swear we must. I swear we must be the only football, not even like NFL, college, pro, whatever, that ever incorporates musicals into their.
Which is diverse.
I'm surprised no one's complained about it. By the way, I really am.
I'm pretty sure we had John complain one time.
Oh,
or Mark.
He came back. That's okay.
Yeah. But we got a wide range for everyone. We just grease lightning. We were just doing.
Oh yeah, Rhythm is a dancer. Rhythm is a dancer. Good old 90s hit. But yeah, I mean, I think that the like you said, there's a huge difference there. between the 49ers defensive line and the Arizona Cardinals defensive line. Don't get me wrong, they had a good game against the Commanders, the Cardinals did. But you can't expect that kind of performance out of a team that lacks a lot of talent. Deb says, we're being polite about the singing, ...
Appreciate it, Deb.
Come on, Deb. We know you like Grease.
Serenade you all night.
Everybody likes Grease. But
we'll be doing the dance moves later.
Oh, I don't think that'll happen. Probably that's where we definitely it's not going to happen. Drawing the line there, the line in the sand is right there. But so again, no Thomas potentially. That's what we're guessing. No Ben Bredesen almost certainly. So you're looking at again Zudu, Glowinski, JMS, McKeithen, Evan Neal. And again, they did great against the Cardinals with this lineup, but it's a huge difference in defenses. I think the big thing really that we need to focus on, and they did do a lot in the second half that they didn't do necessarily the first 6 quarters, and that's using DJ's mobility. And I don't mean just running the ball. If you notice, there was a lot of times he was flushing out of the pocket, and it didn't look like it was because of pressure. It was designed to be that way because there are some players in the quarterback world that they're better when they're mobile. They're not the guys that just sit back in the pocket and sling the ball. Not every quarterback is built that way.
They start playing a little bit more like what I was talking about going into this year. I would assume to see a lot more like misdirect play, especially going into this defense. Like DJ goes out to the right. You got Brett in the backfield. He goes out to the left. Now you split up the back. Now those tackles can't. They have to go somewhere. They're not going to both go at the same guy because guess what? DJ gets rid of the ball. Or guess what? They go out for Bretta. DJ can run up the alley. Or he has all the time in the world to throw that ball. So and there's little things like that I would assume. And then plus the play action.
And they haven't played a mobile quarterback this year too. So we don't know how this exact defense is going to go ahead and perform against them. I talked about listening to the Blue Rush episode earlier today. They had a guy on who does the play calling and all for the Niners. There's the pregame, I should say, postgame, I should say, for the Niners. And he said a lot of times in the past against mobile quarterbacks, guys like Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, some of the guys they see,
Lamar,
they had some issues. Yeah, with Lamar Jackson, they've had some issues. So, and I could say Matt Stafford, who is not known for his mobility in any way, shape, or form. I think that's fair to say. Not a knock at the guy. Yeah. He's a pocket quarterback. He did have to move around again because of the line. It's a very good defensive line that can get to the quarterback there. He ran the ball 4 times for 17 yards. That's not something you expect out of a Matt Stafford. He's not going to end the year with 300, 400 yards rushing.
He's the guy that gets 17 yards on the season.
Exactly. So I am kind of curious how that's going to play out. And I think having that mobility and having him move around and keep the defense on their toes and having to respect the fact that they have to protect the edge against him running out of the pocket is going to help this offensive line a lot.
Yes, because what they're going to do, and what they're going to do from that is they're going to take one of those linebackers, or they're going to take an extra safety out there, and they're just going to take off the line and going to have a QB spy out there, which then is also going to take away from the secondary where DJ could throw the ball more. Or it's going to help take away of the upfront pressure.
Now, would we name this spy perhaps Boris and have like a friend a female friend of his named Natasha?
And he's going after Little Rocky.
Squirrel.
Winkle.
We're showing our age. Anybody in their 20s like, it's not just a Robert De Niro movie, people.
I was about to say, didn't Matthew Broderick do it?
I thought De Niro was.
It was De Niro. It was De Niro.
Yeah. You talking to me?
Yeah. You must be talking. I'm holding a bomb here.
He does some weird movies every so often. He also played Frankenstein's monster in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
He did.
He actually was very good in that role, too.
De Niro
is a very damn good actor. But anyway, he did some weird things. But yeah, we have to work within the limitations that this offensive line is going to have. And that's what it all boils down to is we need to use that mobility to counter effect some of the issues we're going to have on the offensive line. Keep him moving. A moving target is much harder to hit. It's not just the same with shooting guns. It's also with trying to go ahead and, attack a quarterback, not with a gun. For the record, not with a gun. That'd be a very bad defensive play.
Yeah.
This is the Glock blitz. No.
But Beretta style.
No Bredesen, we got the Beretta.
Yeah, the bread. We call it the Colt back.
Oh my God! Good thing Colt McCoy's not in the game. But again, I think that's what you're going to see a lot of. You're going to see a lot of him moving around. Sometimes it's going to be design runs. Sometimes it's going to be go ahead and give him options at that point. And sometimes it's going to be just shooting out a little bit just to get a little more time for something to build up. And Deb also says here, good point. She said, I wonder if Daboll isn't going to call the plays again. Listen, Brian Daboll is still saying he hasn't called the plays. And I'm wondering if he just enacted a little more veto power than he usually does because he was getting a little pissed off.
You have to wonder, did he call in the first half of the game or the second half of the game if he didn't call it? Because there's a clear difference in how the offense lined up.
Well, I think he was definitely more involved in the second half. That's obvious. Oh, 100%, that's so obvious. But again, what I'm saying is I wonder if instead of calling the plays, he was simply vetoing things.
Don't do this play. Don't do this play. Let's go.
Exactly. And I think that's probably what more the conversation was. And I think it's simply Kafka was calling things. Nope. Get him out of the pocket. Get him out of the pocket. That kind of thing. And I think that's what he was trying to do, is try to push the offense, so to speak, to where he wanted to be. As he should.
That's his job.
Listen, when you're in management of any kind, and I don't care if it's, a regular job, football, whatever the case may be, it is your job to right the ship when shit's going wrong. I think it's safe to say it's 60-0 for the first 6 quarters. Shit was going wrong.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Kafka is going to get, he's going to get shit on. But Daboll is the one that's going to have to deal with all that negative press. He is the head coach. So, you're going to have to call a couple audibles, pun intended.
we were shitting the bed worse than Amber Heard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So another key to this game, I think, that we have to also focus on, because we talked about Barkley and how Daboll saying, oh, yeah, we don't know. But no, he's not playing, guys. He's not playing.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. But we still can't abandon the run. And we talked about it a little bit on the episode we did yesterday, recapping, all the NFL action in week 2. Shameless plug. But because Barkley is gone, that doesn't mean that you just go ahead and stop entirely running the ball. Okay. You can't just turn around and not go ahead and run the ball at all. Don't turn around. That's the big thing, and not run the ball at all. Yeah, Connor, I saw your comment. That's see that.
I see what you did.
I expect to see more design runs for Jones than usual. We already talked about his mobility, but I do think that you have to include him having actual runs to make the mobility part be something respected more. Because if he's going to run the ball, you're not going to just run towards him when he leaves the pocket. You have to respect the fact that he may take off, and you got to watch where he goes. That's going to give him even more time in the pocket. Again, we're trying to work within the limitations we're going to have this week because of the lack of a line.
Yeah, and I think Connor actually hit it on the head right there too, because I was actually about to bring that up. I think Brightwell lines up better against this defense than like an Eric Gray, so to say. Bretta will also get some playing time over there because he's already worked with some of these guys and know how they play.
I think it's the Matt Breida and Gary Brightwell together. I really don't think we're going to see much Eric Gray, but a lot of it is I'm not a fan so far of what I've seen of Eric Gray. Now, obviously, we haven't seen much, so it's not like we have any final decisions made on him. I'm not saying give up on him. I want to be overreacting to what I'm saying there. But he didn't look good in the preseason when he was playing backups. And now you want to put him against one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. And plus, it's just the way his style of running that, like, kind of, let's go down the middle. Let's kind of just try and stop through it. Like that's not going to be the running back that's going to get you the points. You're going to need a little bit more finesse to get away from these guys. A little bit more speed.
Yep. Exactly.
So,
and if you look,
someone like a Brightwell and
couple
Bretta,
years,
I think
Gary Brightwell's averaged 4.6 yards per carry between last year and this year. I think this could be an opportunity to see what we have in him. And don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting he's a Saquon replacement. You're not going to replace Saquon. You're not going to. But I'm curious if he's more serviceable than he's been given credit for so far. Because there's been some games, like one of the Eagles games last year, where we couldn't get a damn thing going. And we put him in and let him run the ball a couple of times, and he did a decent job.
Yeah, it was like in the third quarter, and you want to put him like 45 yards.
Yeah, like I'm curious what we have in Gary Brightwell. I think this is a good opportunity against a very good defense. And if you look at what Gary Brightwell brings to the table, he's not a big back. I don't want to make it seem like that. He's I got the stats here in front of me. 5'11", 215 pounds. He's not a big back. He plays.
Well, I mean, he's a professional athlete. I'm sure he's got a broad back.
But I'm saying he plays.
Yeah.
He plays like a bigger back than what he actually is size-wise there. He's a north-south runner. Matt Breida is the speedy guy. He's the guy who's going to go to the outside. He's the guy you want pass protecting because he's also probably the best pass protection running back we have on this roster, including Saquon Barkley. So he's going to be your third down back. And then you're going to see a split in the carries between him and Brightwell, I think, with Eric Gray maybe getting sprinkled in. But I don't expect to see a ton of that personally. And I know a lot of people are expecting it, and I could very well be wrong because these guys see them in practice a lot more than I do, obviously. But I think that's what you're going to see, a Brightwell combo with some runs from Saquon runs from DJ that are designed specifically to keep the defense honest, but also take advantage of the fact that they've been beat by mobile quarterbacks in the past before because they have.
Yeah.
So, all righty. We also have make sure Hyatt's presence is felt. Jalen Hyatt has been, I think, as good as you possibly can expect from a third-round receiver at this point in his career there. Now, don't get me wrong, he's no Puka Nacua. Puka. I guess you could do better. But, I mean, he overall so far has been as advertised, and a lot of what you and I talked about what we kind of expected overall. He's got 2 catches, 89 yards so far. They've been big plays. Let him get 1 or 2 big plays because the more you can go down the field and keep this defense honest, the better it's going to be for the rest of the defense or rest of the offense overall. That's going to keep things open, keep the whole field open. It's going to open things underneath. And I think he's got to do it. And even if it doesn't work, even if you just throw it and it's just occasional throw and you don't get anything out of it, it's still helping keep that defense honest.
Yes, and I think going back to what we were just talking about, you don't abandon a run. They have to respect DJ's ability to run, which I was saying in the previous section, is they're probably going to put a spy on him, which is going to take away from their secondary in order to keep him honest from running the ball too much, which guess what? Allows for a guy that's really fast to get down the field and be opportunity to be more open. So get him involved.
Exactly. We also need to make sure we spread out the field because that's another way to help break up some of the pass rush. Because if you have a bunch of guys spread out, the more people spread out, the less people in the middle. The less people in the middle, the less people rushing the quarterback. In theory, unless you do some corner blitzers or something crazy like that. But you saw a lot of that being done with the Rams. That's one thing they definitely saw success with overall was throwing the ball by having offense spread out. And then what they were doing quick in routes and stuff like that. And I think that that's something that's interesting because that's not typically something you see in the Giants offense so far the first couple of games. But it worked so well. I do think you're going to see some of that. And that's a move that I think Paris Campbell is like tailor built to do.
100%.
Darren Waller, tailor built to do. We have the guys who can do that kind of thing. So when you see a team like the Rams have success with doing that, then that's something we gotta go, okay, you know what? This worked for them. Let's pop it in the old repertoire there, as the French would say, and let's go ahead and do it and have a croissant. I mean,
Oui.
And I like to, like I said, I'd like to see them do it. I like to see them do it. I think that
now 100%.
It works so well. Yeah, exactly. Oh, chocolate croissant, especially.
Ooh,
Chocolate croissant. All right, let's get into the comments here before we go pay the bills and then get into defense here. Jackie says, "Let's go sports ball."
Yay!
Oh, yeah. Sports ball. Diggs BTW7 says, "Hey, what's up, G? What's up, man?"
That's Diggs.
And I'm pretty sure that's a Cowboy fan there too. Another Cowboy fan we got here. Is Deb talking about a plate being singing? Raphael, what's up? Man? Says, "Hello, Drew and Rob. So after Giants defense won against the Cardinals, do you think that Daniel Jones can beat Brock Purdy? I mean, it's not easy battling with an elite quarterback." We're going to talk about Purdy in a minute. We'll go over whether or not we think he's elite. As Connor says, Brock is elite now. LOL. Let's see here. Your dad's on again. He says, "Howdy,
howdy,
howdy." And then Connor says, "Video shows he called plays, but they lying about it. Don't know why, so Kafka doesn't look bad." Again, I'm not 100% sold that's what happened, because there's plenty of times where scenarios I can see where he's going, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and see what we can do by changing up something a little bit here. So call your play, and I'm going to kind of yay or nay it there. That's fine. Your dad says howdy a second time. He's very much into the howdies. Connor says, "Damn, I missed singing already. Was it turn around?" See, people love our singing. People love our singing. He says, "I think Brightwell will step up." I do as well. Gary Stark, what's up? It says, "We have other running backs. Calm down. Give Gray shot. Better than any backs we got besides Barkley." Honestly, I think he's the worst back we have in the roster. And that's not necessarily, again, I'm not willing to give up on him. I'm not saying to give up on him. But Braid has already had seasons over 500 yards in his career. Gary Brightwell, we just talked about a minute ago, the numbers he's put up in the limited carries he's gotten in the NFL. Eric Ray doesn't have anything on his resume yet, except for a preseason that people were, quite frankly, disappointed in.
I mean, we don't know what he's got. Yeah,
we don't.
It's his rookie year. We don't know.
We don't know what he's got.
I think Brightwell is probably going to be the best to step up in this game.
I think I'm kind of interesting here to see what happens there. Your dad says, "Howdy, no kid." He said, "You can step up." Dakota, what's up, man? Oh, here's our resident Eagle fan. He says, "Y'all gonna get your ass whipped." Elite, we talking elite LMFAO. Wow. I think that means let's make Francisco's asses out of 2-0. I'm trying to.
What?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out something here on the spot here. Connor says, "Hi, Dada." And Scott sure says, "What's up, fellas? Come on, Blue. What's up, Scott?"
How we doing, Scott?
The big question is, does Scotty know?
Oh, I don't think he knows.
I don't think he does. Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know. The
best secret song, camo ever.
The camo.
The cameo from that was
Euro Trip.
Yeah,
Euro Trip, and of course that's Matt Damon doing that song. Yep. The best Matt Damon song ever sung. As he says, Puffy ain't elite. I'm not sure who Puffy is we're talking about here.
Purdy,
I think it's what he means. All right, let's pay the bills and get on the defense here.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
Yes. Now it's time to talk about the D. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The D.
Let's talk about that big old D.
Oh, yes.
So, this might be one of the best Ds out there.
Well, I'm talking about our D, not their D now. But on defense, I talked about I called it the big three before. So the big three in my eyes, the San Francisco team, it's not even their quarterback. And that's why it's funny we're talking about the Brock Purdy being elite before. And listen, you guys can go ahead and look back at last year's tape when we're talking about the postseason, the picks during the end of the season and everything. I have been a supporter of Brock Purdy since day one. I really have. I got a lot of slack for it at the beginning. And I said, listen, he's winning. That's all that matters. He's winning. Other guys didn't win there. Jimmy G couldn't stay healthy, couldn't get the big game one in the end. Lance did not look so good at that point. He was the third quarterback last year they had. He looked the best of the three. But he's still not the big three. The big three they have is Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk, who we just said might not even play in this game.
I hope so. He's on my fantasy team.
I'm hoping not, because I don't give a damn about your fantasy team. I want the Giants to win, and I'll take the win with an asterisk. I don't care. But so they play different roles, though. Except you can say Deebo and CMC a little bit kind of mix and match, even though one's a receiver, one's a running back. So obviously Christian McCaffrey, first off, he's on a goddamn tear to start the season here.
Oh yeah.
He is leading all running backs in rushing yards right now by an absolute mile. So he's got 268 yards so far the first two games, averaging 6.4 yards per carry. That's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, he's doing it with the Steelers, who traditionally have a very good defense, and Aaron Donald and the Rams last week. So it's not like he's beating up on the Cardinals like we did last week. So not to disparage our own victory here, but I'm just saying.
He's an elite running back. He's been elite for a very long time in this league.
When he's healthy, he is hard to stop. But yeah, it's going to be interesting trying to stop him, because we've had trouble stopping the run. This has been an issue we had last year. This issue we've had so far this year. But
look what happened with just last week when we made James Conner look better.
Yes, exactly. He looks so good that I heard a robot cop was looking for him after the game. Oh yes. I went there. John Connor, have you seen this boy?
Yeah.
What movie spoofed that? Was it Scary Movie?
Wayne's World.
Was it Wayne's World? It was Wayne's World. It was Wayne's World. Damn
have you
straight.
seen that boy?
Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
that's us winning the game.
So, but besides also being right now the best running back so far the first 2 weeks of this league, and potentially being the best, over the last couple of years just in general, he's also obviously a receiving threat. He's one of the very few people ever in this league to get 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving in the same exact season. But he only so far has 36 yards receiving. So he really hasn't gone ahead and really changed any much on the running side, but they haven't involved him as much in the passing game. So that's something to keep an eye on for this game to see if they continue that kind of work.
Well, if Ayuk's not going to play because he's injured, obviously I would assume CMC is going to step up and go for more catches.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. That's something to see.
Yeah.
And then you got Deebo Samuel, who is a receiver, but a receiver that does play a running back-esque kind of role at times. He will go ahead and be a flat-out running back who rushes the ball. He will be a guy that comes out of the backfield for a catch. He's not your typical guy who's, just being a traditional receiver. It's just not the role he plays there. So far on the year here, let's see his stats here. We got 118 yards receiving in 2 games. That puts him on pace for 1,000 receiving yards or so, and 46 yards rushing. But again, he's the guy that does more of the yak routes. He's the guy who does the short yardage stuff that makes that one move and all of a sudden turns a 5-yard catch into 20 yards. He has that ability, guys. So you really have to be really good at tackling safely, and not just going ahead and just trying to yank him down and letting him get out of it. You got to wrap him up. You got to old school football wrap up a guy like that. Same with Christian McCaffrey. You better wrap these guys up. If you watch, there was actually a touchdown he got against the Rams last week, Deebo Samuel, where he literally they basically did a quick route to him while he's still in the backfield, let him rush to the outside like a running back would on an HB toss, kind of like that. And he just wormed his way through like 5 people into the end zone. Like, that's a move that shouldn't happen point blank.
He makes grown men look like little children.
But like I said, he does embarrass people occasionally. It is what it is. And then you got Brandon Ayuk. We talked about him again, a guy who's kind of playing through injury. I think if we see him, we're probably not going to see the true version of him. We're going to see kind of what's left and what he's able to do. 70% of what he usually is. But he's got 172 yards so far in the season, 2 touchdowns. So he's been pretty good so far this season overall. But that's the big 3. That's the 3 guys you really have to worry about there. It's not the quarterback.
Yeah. It's not. And you're forgetting about another guy. He's not lumped into this big 3 this year due to some injury in the preseason, which he hasn't been 100%. So not to wish ill on anyone, glad he's not 100% for us. And that, of course, is Kittle.
I think I know where you're going. I knew it.
Of course, that is Kittle. They're tight end over there. He didn't play that well last year either, but he's one of the better ones in the league here. And then,
he is. And I like him overall. Not necessarily this week, but overall, he's got a fun personality. Yeah, I like him.
So it's hard to see him this year. Only 6 catches for the 49 yards. Like,
yeah,
every other year he starts off with like double that.
He's not a guy like Waller or some of the other receivers out there that play tight end where he doesn't block. He blocks. He puts his whole body out there. In fact, you can make the case that he's choosing to block over longevity and health in his career because he's been very injury prone over the years. And it's because he puts his body out there and just goes for it and does the job the way it's supposed to be done. Not just be a tall receiver, a big receiver, but be a guy that's helping in the blocking game as well. And you see him out there running around in screen plays and all, and setting blocks and all. He's a guy that's all over the place. Even when he's not catching the ball, his presence is still felt. If we're going to add a 4th person to the mix, he very well could be the guy, or it could be Brock Purdy. I don't know which one I would add if we added a 4th one, because it's still the quarterback. It's kind of an important position.
It is, but it's
kind of important. It's kind of important. But the question is, how do you stop the offense? How do you stop the, this team from just scoring at will, which they've done in the past? They've scored pretty high the last, 2 games here to start this season. They scored pretty much a lot there at the end of the prior season, pretty much ever since Brock Purdy became the quarterback. And I think one of the big things is, if you look at what has worked pressure-wise for the Rams and the Steelers in these first 2 games, it's attacked the right side. We talked about it before that McGlinchey's gone. He's gone up to Denver now, so they have a new right tackle. Obviously, they have, the best, basically, tackle in football. I know people are going to kill me for saying that because Andrew Thomas is ours, but Trent Williams is in a class of his own. He is that good. He is the most elite offensive lineman in the entire league. If you're going to try to rush the passer, that's probably not the direction you want to go.
Yeah.
That's probably not it. So, yeah. I think that's something we got to look at the right side. And you got to see some of these guys wake up on our defense that haven't been doing jack or shit basically so far. Kayvon Thibodeau, where are you at? He was calling out people today talking about Giant fans and being social media critics. Well, here we are. We're on social media. And we're semi-professional critics. With key on semi. You can say semi-professional. It doesn't mean much. After all, it's the movie Semi-Pro and Jackie Moon. But I'll say this, Kayvon, if you're listening, and I doubt you are, but if you are,
come on.
Don't. Well, firstly, guys, come on the show by all means. 2 Giant Goofballs at mail.com. But do not get into battle with the fans. The fans want to see you succeed. We want to see you succeed. We cannot stress that enough. But we get frustrated when we see people that are the 5th overall pick last year and they haven't progressed this year yet. And the Giant fans and New York fans in general have a very, very short fuse with that kind of stuff. Fair or not?
Don't be a Tony.
Yeah, don't be a Kadarius Toney. Don't be a Tony. Maybe we start doing that. Do the Tony Award, the biggest crybaby in the. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, don't be a
Tony Award. We can't do it. We can't do a Tony Award. We already do one.
Damn, that's right.
I forgot they do that. They do it for for the reporters every year. Maybe we'll think of a name for that. It'd be kind of fun. The Kadarius. But again, we want to see you succeed. We want to see Aziz back healthy. We want to see him succeed. We want a actual pass rush. We invested a 5th overall pick. We invested a 2nd round pick. We want these guys succeeding. We need a sack already. And I'm going to call out Dexter Lawrence. I'm going to call out Leonard Williams. You guys are getting paid probably, if I had to guess, the most of any duo and any defensive line in the entire NFL, because Leonard Williams is up there. We talked about how he's like the 3rd highest paid player in the NFL in general this year, cap-wise. So, and obviously Dexter Lawrence just signed that massive new deal. Show up, guys.
Yeah.
A QB hit is not enough. We need you. This is a game. We need you. We need you to make the impact. We need you to make the difference. This is the game where you earn the bucks. When you come up against a better team, because let's be honest, they're a better team, and you help level the playing field for us. This is what you got to do. Get a pass rush going. And like I said, go right for that right side. The right side of the line, that's where you go.
Yeah, big time. I mean, at the end of the day, we're one of 6 teams that have not got an interception in this league, and we're one of the bottom few teams that does not have a sack.
Yeah.
So
I don't think we have a turnover yet.
No.
We don't have a single turnover yet. Right?
I don't know about that. I can't say that confidently. But you're probably right.
I will verify. But it's just, it's like I said, I need to see some, and it's not effort. And I think that's where people kind of get it wrong sometimes. It's not effort for the Giants. That's that for Kayvon and these guys. That's not the issue. The issue is just not showing up, not doing some of the small things. Set the edge. Don't go past the quarterback. This is what you have to do is at the edge position. I did just verify, by the way, we're -4 on the year with not a single takeaway and four giveaways so far.
Awesome.
I thought we were not good.
Yeah.
You don't win a lot of games that way typically.
No.
So let's get on to the topic of Brock Purdy. We kind of started the topic. We got to talk about him. Yeah. We got to talk about Brock. Okay.
He is Purdy.
Before he turns into Venom. I mean, it's just Purdy. He throws a Purdy ball.
So Purdy.
You know, the question was talked about before, is he elite? Is he not elite? And I think it's a valid question. And I think it's still a question that we can't answer yet because he hasn't played long enough. This is what his 7th or 8th regular season game.
I was about to say, you can't. I think he had, seven games last year? Or was it 8?
Yeah.
You got 2 now, so yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like he hasn't even played a full season yet. I will say he's extremely smart for a young quarterback. You know, we need to face a rookie quarterback, which he basically, for all intents and purposes, is still a rookie quarterback. When you play a rookie quarterback, typically what you'll do is you'll want to try to confuse him. You know, and you want to try to throw things at him you don't think they've seen before. He's a smart quarterback. Like, I saw things going on that he saw mentally, and I think the physicality is where you can get him better, because there was a lot of balls that against the Rams specifically he overthrew. So if you want to go, you know what, we got to focus on one part of this field because we're just not as talented as the Niners, and that's okay to admit. That's not a horrible thing to say. We're not as talented as the San Francisco 49ers. It's a very fair statement.
Doesn't mean we can't win.
No, it doesn't. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is owed. So,
Nope.
you know, as Chris Berman used to always say on prime time, that's why they play the games. I think focus on the short routes. Focus on the backfield runs. Focus on the stuff that is closer to the line of scrimmage. Because if he's going to overthrow the deep targets anyway, and you got to focus on one area, then focus on the area of strength. That's where their area of strength is. The short to mid throws. The longer throws he had trouble with. And so far, scary to say, our corners have been really, really good considering how young they are, considering the lack of experience they have. You know, at some point, you got to go, you know what? These guys are getting it done. Our pass rush is not. We need to help.
I know. I agree 100%. Like, if you just leave one-on-one coverage out with these guys, listen, they're great, but there's a chance that you might not play. So it does help us out a little bit. So you take something like that and you put a spy in for, CMC and Purdy, go a long way.
He might even be, instead of being Brandon Ayuk, he's just Brandon I. No Ayuk. He's just half what he usually is. He's more of a decoy than anything else. And I think that's probably what we're going to see. I think we'll see him in the game, but I think we'll see him be a shell of what he actually is. So, but again, Purdy to me right now is an above average quarterback playing with great weapons and a great defense.
Yes.
I don't know if I'd call him elite yet.
I would not call him elite yet, but that kind of setup helps turn average quarterbacks into the next level very fast.
Look at Jalen Hurts. Oh,
yeah.
Shots fired. We'll see if Dakota's still in the room now. But like I said, that's what happened. I mean, you can look at Mark Sanchez, another classic example. We can go back a couple of years. Mark Sanchez comes out, plays with really good receivers, plays with a really great line, has Thomas Jones in the backfield as a great running back, and slowly but surely chipped that stuff away from him and exposed what he was, an average quarterback.
Yeah, but sometimes it just helps them bring it to the next level and helps develop them to become that next level of talent. Like look at Tua, right now. That besides him getting knocked out twice last year,
he got knocked down. He got up again, and then he fell back over again. Oh,
chasing the night away.
We're still getting canceled this episode. It's gonna happen.
But I mean, he changed into a different quarterback. As soon as he got the Waddle, as soon as he got Tyreek Hill down there, it became a different team, different scenario. Look at AJ Brown over with the Eagles.
They finally let him actually start the games. They didn't keep swapping him in and out for Fitzmagic. That was a lot of his problem. I still think that's they were instead of tanking 4-2, they were just tanking Tua. It's kind of like it's kind of like when you're a kid and you want this Christmas toy so bad, and you finally get it, and you realize you didn't like it as much as you thought you would.
Yeah.
And you just pick it up every so often to make your parents not feel bad for buying it for you. That's what Tua was to the Dolphins for a little bit there.
To the real how cool he was.
He was like that squirt gun at the Island of Misfit Toys that squirts that jam.
I don't know. I don't want to know what he squirts out.
Jam. It's jam.
Yeah.
But you know what kind of jam? Raspberry jam. Only one man would dare give me the raspberry.
Lone Star.
All right. So we're going to do our prediction show tomorrow. But I think it's fair to say that we can at least give our win-loss, who we think is going to happen in the game. We'll save our spread picks and that stuff for tomorrow still. But I think we can still go over kind of who we think is going to win the game. So I'll let you do the honors first, Rob. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
So, does it get blurred out now? Listen, I have hope for the Giants to win, but if I'm putting my money on this, I have to go with the Niners.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat, and honestly, I don't think it'll be as bad as the Cowboy game,
No.
But I think we will definitely be saying some expletives after the game on Thursday. So
if we lose 20-0 in the first half, don't expect to come back like last week.
We're not going to come back against this team. So if we're losing badly and you enjoy watching football podcasts where a lot of cursing, feel free to pop into the show after the game is over. We will be on live with our reaction to the show. And again, tomorrow, guys, we're going to be on live. We're doing our picks episode as well. That'll be also 9 o'clock tomorrow. So we got a little different schedule here because of the Thursday game. Just a reminder for that. So we'll, again, hope to see you all again on tomorrow night there for the picks episode. Before we get going here, we are going to go. We got a few more different. Comments here. Connor says, "Ugh, that guy's voice. Shake my head. He doesn't like the pay the bills guy. He's like a pirate. Listen, I live in Tampa Bay. We're going to use a pirate thing occasionally. It's not a buck. It's still a giant. It's a giant pirate." Dakota said, "Look back at the NFC Championship," and I think that's him talking about Purdy, which, I mean, that's not a fair assessment. Purdy got destroyed. His arm got ripped off practically.
Pretty much.
Connor says, "What's Robert's fantasy?" Roro, it's getting sexy in this podcast. Roberto, I mean. Dakota said, "Fucking squeeze that one out, boys. Lucky they want Caleb Williams." Wow. We didn't just squeeze it out. We destroyed them the second half. And then he says, "You changed work, Drew. I stopped by." I did change work, but I didn't. It's the same company, different location, Dakota. So I'm just saying, you go to St. Pete. That's where I'll be now. Connor says, "Swing."
better. Swing.
Yeah, good old. I want to watch Wayne's World now. I haven't watched that in forever. Connor tells you to turn the TV off. Connor says, "She will get mine. Oh yes, she will be mine." I think he's doing a song.
Wayne's World. No, Wayne's World. Oh, she'll be mine.
Oh, okay.
Yes, she will be mine.
Okay.
Swing.
He does it again. He says, "You little will probably score on us." Shake my head. Kittle.
Yeah.
Deb says, "Singing critics." Connor says, "Purdy, the next Brady, is what I've heard. If he has the blocking like Brady always had." I said, "What? Let the guy win something first." Yeah, that's a valid point. Connor says, "Upset we win. Watch." Listen, I'm all for it, Connor. All for it. Alrighty, guys. So we will be back on again tomorrow night for you guys for the picks episode, giving you all our picks for the week 3 matchups here, giving you some gambling tips, and we talk about who's winning so far after the first 2 weeks, which we still have to tally up. I didn't update it for Monday night yet, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys again tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile. He loves my LinkedIn profile. And of course, we're always on audio podcast, usually the next day as well on that there. So usually the next morning, we'll have that ready to go for you guys. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, all the big ones there. And I don't know what's going on lately on Apple, but by the way, we are just shooting like huge through Apple. So if you guys are a new Apple listener, much appreciated. If you could do us a favor and leave us a review as well, assuming it's a positive one. If it's a negative one, feel free to walk on by. But if it's a positive one, go ahead and leave us a review. It's much appreciated and helps keeping the growth going there at that point. Today, actually, of all days, is our largest download day ever on the audio podcast, which is just weird. Nothing in particular is going on, so I'm not sure why. But we're not complaining. We're loving it. All right, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow night. As always, appreciate you guys listening in and choosing these 2 goofballs to be the one to give you the knowledge on the New York Giants here. As always, Giant fans,
go G-Man!
Go G-Man!
G-Man!
Thanks for listening to 2 Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?
Thank you to those who have signed up for our silver gold levels of membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.